You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
It's advantage Australia at the SCG, with the hosts holding a 197-run lead at Stumps on day 3. My guest Ayaz Memon is with us. Ayaz, Australia holding all the cards at the moment, especially with India's two players who could bat now looking pretty much injured.
Yeah, I think pretty much. I think Australia is almost in an invincible position. The lead is 197. There are 2 days remaining, and two of India's batsmen injured. We don't know if they will bat in the second innings. They might, but they won't be perhaps in the best frame of mind or physically to face up to this kind of challenge. The pitch is still slow, but it could start misbehaving on day 4 and 5. That's what's been the legacy of the Sydney Cricket Ground, that matches or the pitches do start playing up on the 4th and 5th days. And I see Australia maybe batting a session and a half on the 4th day, trying to stretch the lead to about 350, 360, and then throwing the gauntlet at India. Either you get these runs or bat out 4.5 sessions. And that's going to be difficult against this pace attack. As we've seen, even on a flat track, the way Pat Cummins bowled was absolutely marvellous. And of course, Josh Hazlewood and Mitchell Starc. So it's all uphill from here for India.
I'm Mendra Dorji.
And I'm Ayaz Memon.
And you're listening to the Aussie Challenge podcast on the Quint, powered by Farm Easy and MediBuddy.
Okay, I'm going to quickly take you through the scores. India started the day on the overnight score of 96 for 2 with Rahane and Pujara at the crease. But the Aussie bowlers managed to make regular inroads. Rahane out on 22, then Vihari got out on 4. Cheteshwar Pujara made a half century, but it was the slowest of his career. Rishabh Pant made 36 and Jadeja was not out on 28 as India were bowled out on 244. Australia lost openers early with Puckovski falling to Siraj and Ashwin picking his first wicket of the match, sending back David Warner on 13. Smith and Marcus Labuschagne are at the crease at Stumps. 103 for 2 is their score. 2 more days of play left. Now, Ayaz, India's batting sort of was exposed today. You can see, where that gaping hole left by Virat Kohli stands. Once the openers and maybe Rahane are out, then it's just Pujara, Vihari, and then the bowlers come in.
I think, yes, that's very clear. I mean, Virat was very badly missed, but more than just, the contribution that he brings, I think he brings a certain energy which was lacking in this batting performance. I thought it was ultra cautious. To my mind, the run rate barely going a little over 2 runs and over. And while the bowling was impressive from the Aussies, the situation was daunting. You don't want to give them, the Australians free wickets. But I think the whole effort was a trifle too laboured, which meant that, every time a wicket fell, the pressure redoubled on the next batsman coming in, and India just never got the momentum that they should have got batting, maybe 100 more overs and more. So that, in a way, affected India's batting performance. I thought they could have got about maybe 50, 60 runs more, and then the match becomes that much more even, right? With a 96, 97 run lead, 94 run lead, it was a major advantage on this kind of a pitch.
Okay, Cheteshwar Pujara did score that half century, but his 50, ultimately he got out on 50 of 176 balls. His innings, a lot of criticism he's facing for his slow innings. But, so it was probably an innings he sort of had to play holding one end, because we saw what happened once he got out. Then, it was pretty much, we felt like a pack of cards.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't fault only him. I thought he had a job to do. He's not been in the best form in this series. And he's your sheet anchor. He's the guy who can bat a day if necessary, or he's got the ability to do it. But yes, having said that, once you've settled in, then you have to be able to rotate the strike, get the occasional 4. Towards the latter half of his innings, he was beginning to show that kind of form, stepping out to, Nathan Lyon, using his feet. Look, it's very similar to what Steve Smith did for Australia in the first innings. They were also struggling till Smith and Labuschagne got together. They put up a partnership, and then Smith went on to extend the innings to 338 and taking charge and control of the situation, which is something that Pujara couldn't do this time. So, I don't think one can fault him entirely. I think that there is a certain vulnerability to the Indian batting, which he must have been conscious of. I think what also hurt India was the injury to Rishabh Pant, because he had come and kind of changed the momentum a bit. And then there was Jadeja also, who can, strike some big blows. He also got hit and got injured. So I think that India suffered with injuries to those two players. But in the top order, perhaps, we could have seen a little more enterprise, apart from, of course, Shubman Gill.
There were also 3 run-outs in this match. I mean, almost inexcusable for a test match for three players to get run out, right? And Vihari's was like, he made the call and he was barely near the crease.
Yeah, it showed a little, look, I think it showed, in Vihari's case, it showed a little panic or pressure. In the other 2 dismissals, it showed, lack of running skills for running in between the wickets, because both those runouts could have been avoided had Ashwin and had Ashwin for certainly had he been sharper. I don't think Jadeja was too much at fault, but three runouts in an innings is, look, even 1 is rare, 2 is a calamity, 3rd one makes it even farcical. To have 3 runouts in the innings, especially when your batting is struggling, is something. There's something to be said about thoughtlessness.
Also, now the 2 injured players, Jadeja and Pant, have both been sent for scans. BCCI, updated on their social media. But, we saw earlier that, Chahal did come for Jadeja, but this is not the same case, right? Because that's a concussion substitute. This is just a substitute. India are lucky to be able to let Saha keep, because those rules were changed just a few years back. But then not only have we lost a wicket keeper and a bowler, we don't have 2 batsmen in the final innings, right?
Well, it depends on how serious their injuries are, but certainly they've been rattled. They'll be under pressure. They'll be paining. And it means that India will be, suffering because both Pant and Jadeja are at least very good in counter-attacking. It's going to be all, as I mentioned, uphill for India to try and save the match from here, barring the miraculous or barring some very inclement weather. The aces are all held by Australia. So it's going to hurt India, the absence of these 2, but yes, you're right. There's no concussion substitutes here. These are guys who've been hit on the hand. So you can have plain vanilla substitutes who can't bat for them, certainly.
Okay, what can we expect tomorrow? I mean, we did see Ashwin finally get a wicket. He did send David Warner back. You think we're going to see more of that? Or what do you see happening in the first session?
Look, I think technically, if you look at the best case scenario, then India have to bowl out Australia in the first session, not concede more than 60-70 runs. And then the lead is about 250, 270. And you say, okay, there's a hope. But if it means that Australia are going to lose 8 wickets for 60, 70 runs, then it's not going to be very easy for India to bat on the same pitch. So all in all, it's looking very difficult. I think the thing that India can try is really choke the runs, which they've done quite successfully in this series. Not allow Australia to build up a commanding lead very early, which means that the longer you stretch the Australian innings, the less time you have to bat out yourself in the 4th innings. And I think that, to me, seems the best way to go about it, the best tactic.
Okay, thank you, Ayaz. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back with Ayaz tomorrow, which will hopefully not be the last day of this test match.
Thank you, Mindra. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thank you all for listening to the Aussie Challenge podcast with Ayaz Memon on the Quint, powered by Farm Easy, India's largest online pharmacy, and MediBuddy.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts